y'all, it's just little old me, Sam, and today I wanted to talk to y'all about what has been going on in my life over the past year and to let y'all know why I don't post videos every single week. As you can probably guess from the title of this video, I have been sick for over 1 year. And when I say sick, I don't mean I got a cold or the flu for a year. I'm talking about a virus that entered my system and completely wreaked havoc on the nerves in my stomach. It actually got so bad that I ended up having a feeding tube, which I will talk about a little later in this video. And I will also show some pictures of the feeding tube as well at the end of the video. I don't want to give you every single detail of what happened over the past year, so let me just tell you that on March 27th of 2017, I woke up on that morning and had severe pain in my abdomen, and I was really dizzy and just really weak. I went down to the bathroom and I started dry heaving over the sink. Now if you don't know what dry heaving is, it's pretty much just throwing up except nothing is actually coming out. So it's pretty much the more intense version of gagging. Anyways, a few days later I wasn't feeling any better, so my daddy took me down to the doctors. We told the doctors that 2 weeks before I was sick, my family and I took a trip to North Carolina to go skiing, and I fell and hit the ground really hard. So at first my doctor thought that maybe I had bruised an organ or something, so he did a bunch of tests to see if there was any injury inside my internal organs. Well, all of the results from the test came back normal. There was no bruising anywhere. He didn't know what was wrong with me, so he sent me down to the gastroenterology specialist. Keep in mind that while all of this is happening, I was not eating or drinking anything, and I started to lose a lot of weight. You might be wondering why I wasn't eating anything, and the reason for that was because every time I ate something, whether it be a burrito or oatmeal, the pain in my abdomen just got really bad, so I decided not to eat at all. Here, let me see if I can give you an illustration. Let's say that every time you put food in your mouth, I hit you in the stomach with a sledgehammer. Well, soon you would just stop putting the food in your mouth, right? Well, that's what I did. Every time I put food in my mouth and I swallowed it, there was just so much pain in my abdomen that I just stopped eating. Anyways, back to the story. The specialist thought that I had something called POTS. And if you don't know what POTS is, it's pretty much just when the volume of blood reduces whenever you stand up from lying or sitting down. Well, after doing a bunch of tests, a conclusion was made that I did not have POTS. So if I didn't have POTS, then what was wrong with me? Well, on June 5th of 2017, the specialist decided to do an endoscopy on me. If you don't know what an endoscopy is, it's pretty much where the doctors take this little tiny camera and they stick it down your throat into your stomach to see if there's like any kind of irritation or bruising or anything inside of your stomach that maybe the other tests didn't pick up. At this time, the specialist also decided to insert a feeding tube. Now they didn't put the feeding tube that inserts onto the side, they just did an NJ tube which goes through your nose. So they took the tube, it went through my nose, down my throat, past my stomach, and into my small intestine. Because they thought that maybe if they just bypassed the food straight past the stomach and into the small intestine, then maybe it wouldn't hurt as much. Well, a few weeks later, the feeding tube actually kinked and they had to pull it out. So I was forced to eat by mouth again. And it was quite painful, I might add. Well, when we went back to the specialist, they said that some of the biopsies that they took during the endoscopy came back positive for something called enterovirus. To be honest, I am not quite sure what enterovirus is. All I know is that it completely destroyed the nerves inside my stomach. On July 3rd of 2017, I could no longer eat by mouth anymore because it was just too painful. So I had to go back to the hospital and get another feeding tube inserted. When I was there, the specialist thought that they would try one treatment that was known to help with the enterovirus. And this treatment that they decided to do was called immunoglobulin, or IVIG. This treatment was to help boost your immune system, which would then help fight off any viruses that you had. Well, they gave me this treatment, and 2 days later, I got viral meningitis, which was not fun. Because of this, I had a really bad pounding headache, and I couldn't stop crying because it just hurt so bad. Every time I moved my head, it would just hurt so bad, and I really hope that none of you ever get viral meningitis because it was really, really painful, and I hope none of you ever have to go through that. Well, after a few days, the viral meningitis did go away and life went on. But guess what? On July 23rd of 2017, I got really nauseous and I threw up. Not only did I throw up all the contents in my stomach, but I also threw up the feeding tube. It was a very painful and unforgettable experience. It was great. Not really. Ever since then, I have been eating by mouth, and it has been quite painful. I've been on all different kinds of medications, some that I really wish I never had to take, and some of those that I've been on were gabapentin, amitriptyline, tramadol, and yes, I was on morphine at one point. And even though I was taking all of these different types of drugs, none of them helped. None of them took the pain away. They barely even brought the pain down from a 7 to a 5. In November, I went to the pain specialist down in Nemours to see if they had any way that we never thought of to manage the pain. The pain specialist came up with the idea to swallow lidocaine. If you don't know what lidocaine is, it is usually used for sore throats, and you usually just gargle it to try and numb your throat. Nobody ever really swallows lidocaine, but the idea behind that was maybe if I swallowed this numbing agent, it would just numb my entire stomach and would allow me to eat. After a while of being on the lidocaine, it actually surprisingly helped. I didn't think that this medication would help with my pain, but it did. I also think a lot of prayers from my church family helped as well. 2 months ago, I actually stopped taking the lidocaine because it just wasn't doing anything anymore. It wasn't numbing my stomach, and to be honest, I didn't feel like I needed it anymore because the pain was actually starting to go down, and I thought, why take this medication if it doesn't really seem to be helping anymore? Now it's time for a 1-year comparison. So when I first got sick, I couldn't eat and my pain was constantly at a 7 or 8. Now, 1 year later, I can eat on my own without the lidocaine and without a feeding tube, and my pain is at a 1 or 2. That's a huge difference. It's great. Looking back, I can see that through it all, God has been good to me. When I was going through it all, I didn't really understand why God let this happen to me. And now that it's mostly over, I can see how God used my illness to bring glory to Himself. And I'm so happy that God used me. Can you believe it? God used me. Just little old me. See what I did there? But in all seriousness, if I had the choice to go back and do it all over again and go through all of that pain, I would. If it means that I can give out tons of tracts to people that wouldn't normally take them and write letters to my relatives telling them about Christ, then yes, I would go through all of that pain and suffering again if it means that I can spread the gospel with everyone. I hope that this video has encouraged you and that you understand that no matter what you're going through, whether it be good or bad, that God is in control. He knows how to turn your terrible situation into a blessing. So if you are going through something right now, just know that God is good all the time and that He won't give you something that you can't handle. One of my favorite quotes that really helps me when a challenge arises that I don't feel I'm ready for is, God gives His hardest battles to His strongest soldiers. So the next time you are in a battle, just remember that the only one who can help you is God. Never leave God out of the picture. In fact, He should be the first one you go to when you are struggling with something. Well, I'll see y'all next time. Bye! We should go get something to eat. Just kidding, I can't eat anything.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Doctor's appointment.
You said it before too. Oh, they both get some? Okay.
We were supposed to be going to camp this week, but we weren't able to because obvious reasons. But that's okay, because we're gonna go to Disney.
Yeah, aw.
When I first got sick, no. Okay, come on, get this right. And I will also show some pictures of the feeding